And the next 5 words from sublist 1 are establish, estimate, evident, export, and factor. So the first word is establish. Establish. If you establish something, then you start or decide something. So for example, small Islamic kingdoms were established in India by the year 1200. So they were started. Some forms: establishment, establish, re-establish, establishing, and some example sentences. In 1980, China established 4 special economic zones. The first modern police force was established in Paris in 1667, so it was set up, it was started. Austria was founded in 1918 after World War I and re-established after World War II, because if you remember your history, between the First and Second World Wars, Austria was annexed by Germany. The establishment of a United Nations peacekeeping force was supposed to reduce the number of conflicts internationally. So some common collocations: you can establish a relationship, established order, that means the order that's the kind of traditional order, established practice, established principle, and something can be clearly established. Some words with a similar meaning to establish: prove, demonstrate, show. You can show to be true, show beyond doubt, and indicate. This is the use of establish in the sense of proving information. So you can establish facts. So you prove or show facts if you establish facts. The next word is estimate. Estimate. This is a calculation in the noun form, a calculation of what you think the value or amount of something actually is. And if you use the noun form, then you say estimate. Estimate. So for example, his estimate for the renovations to our house was $2,000. So some forms here: estimate is the noun, form estimation. Estimate is the verb form, estimate. So estimate is the noun, estimate is the verb form. And some example sentences here: police estimated the crowd at 2,000. He estimated it would cost $45 to fix my bicycle. The engineer estimated that it would take 2 years to build the museum. Tax revenues have been greatly overestimated in the government's budget projections. Conservative estimate is a common collocation. Rough estimate, low estimate, accurate estimate, and original estimate. And some similar words or phrases: roughly calculate. You can approximate something. You can make an estimate of, guess, evaluate, and judge. So those are words with a similar meaning to estimate. The next word is evident. Evident. This means something that is easy to see, notice, or understand. So for example, it is evident from his playing that he was very nervous about this performance. So maybe he was nervous, made a few mistakes, so it's clear that he was nervous. Evidence is another form. You can also use evidence as a verb, but evident, the root form, is an adjective. Evidently is an adverb, and this is a very useful word, evidently. It seems quite evident to me that your marriage is in deep trouble. You and your husband are always arguing, so it's very clear to me. Here's a use of the word evidently. The two women evidently knew each other because they seemed very surprised and happy to see one another. So it was very clear that they knew each other. All the evidence suggests that the butler did it. Do you have any evidence to back up your accusations? Ample evidence is a common collocation for evidence. Anecdotal evidence. Available evidence, clear evidence is a very useful collocation, and compelling evidence. So there's common collocations for evidence. Let's go back to evident, the adjective. Very similar in meaning to obvious, apparent, noticeable, conspicuous, perceptible, and perceivable. That's evident. And the next word is export. Export. So exports are products or services sold to another country. So for example, my country's main export products are coffee and bananas. Here are some forms for export. You can be an exporter if you're a person or a company that exports. Exportation. Export can also be used as a verb and also as an adjective. You can talk about export goods. China has today become a net exporter of rice. Russia is one of the leading exporters of wheat in the world. The exportation of raw logs is one of this province's most important industries. Some people feel that trade deal has resulted in the exportation of jobs. Some common collocations, you can talk about export earnings, export markets, the export trade, export license, and if they're stopped, you can have a ban on exports. Some synonyms, you can sell abroad, sell overseas, market abroad, market overseas, send abroad, and send overseas. So these are collocations of the verb form of export. And the next word is factor. Factor. These are the things that influence a cause or a situation. So let's give you an example of that. Environmental pollution seems to be an important factor in the increase in cancers all over the world. Here's some forms for factor. A factor can be a noun or a verb. And factorize is an adjective, not very commonly used though. The noun form of factor is the most important one. So here, regular physical exercise is an essential factor in the maintenance of good health. Alcohol was a major factor in a car accident which claimed 3 lives over the weekend. So alcohol helped cause the accident. Many factors contributed to my bad marks at school. You can't measure the effect of your salary increase without factoring in the increase in the cost of living. Here's some common collocations: critical factor, crucial factor, demographic factor, key factor, and the main factor. Here are some words with a similar meaning. So factor, element, part, component, ingredient, strand, and constituent. So that's the word factor. Here are your 5 words again: establish, estimate, evident, export, factor.